Hey everybody, it's the MAUDCAST. It's Monday. Happy Monday. This is the 10th episode of the MAUDCAST. Hi, my special guest is already here. I'm going to let a few more people join in. And then I'm going to bring in my incredibly special guest today. And I know she's watching right now. Do you see what shirt I'm wearing? We'll have to tell everybody the story of this shirt. Hey everybody, happy Monday. It's the MAUDCAST. Hope that you're having a great day so far, a great start of your week. It's been a crazy last few weeks, but I'm so thankful that you're joining us today for the MAUDCAST. Yay! LOL, Hannah. Hi, Emma. Hi, Leah. My shirt says, I'm gonna need my shirt back, which is from a J. Cole song. We'll explain. Amazing. All right, well, we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna bring up my incredibly special guest, the one and only Miss Hannah Gordon. Her. Hey, Jenna. Hi, Timothy. Hi, Nick Green Music. Hi,
Howdy.
so pretty.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Oh, you look so cute. You look so pretty. I love your backdrop of your books. Let me see. You got Malcolm X back there. You have Season of Change, which I have too, which we're going to be talking about. So let me introduce you, everybody here. Welcome to the MAUDCAST. Thank you. This is the 10th episode, and my amazing guest, Hannah Gordon, is actually celebrating your 10th season at the 49ers, right?
That's right.
Which is so cool that this is the 10th episode and this is your 10th year being the general counsel for the 49ers. She is also the chief admin officer, which we can get into. We have a lot of our Soul Talk and Chloe and Maud Foundation students on. So it's very, very exciting because they have not ever met a woman, or probably anybody, who has such an esteemed job, but particularly not a woman. So everybody, Hannah has incredible accolades. UCLA undergrad, Stanford Law School, was teaching class at Stanford Law School, works for the 49ers, the NFL, worked for the 49ers when they got Humanitarian of the Year award from ESPN. Amazing accolades. She's an incredible human being. But we're here to talk about how she brings joy into her life and how she brings joy into other people's lives. So I think that, accolades are extremely inspiring and important and, for our own ambitions, Hannah. But I think what makes you so incredibly special is that you're not just like work. I have to do this. This is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. You still know how to find time for joy and fun and all that stuff. So, Hannah, my first story that I'd like you could intro is, everybody, I have on this shirt. I'm going to try to lean down. I can't really lean down that well. So it says, I'm going to need my shirt back. Now, friends, Hannah is a big hip-hop fan. J. Cole, we both love. Hannah took me to my first J. Cole concert. Everybody give it up for Hannah. And it was Forest Hills Drive. And this was the shirt.
I feel like we have to tell people how we met too. And also, because we are both all about spreading joy elsewhere, I hope you kept track of the first join us, since we're going to send them all a signed copy.
We are. So actually, I can tell you who it is. Okay. So, young people. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Before we get into everything, Miss Hannah wrote recently a very incredible and inspiring guided journal and book. It's called Season of Change. And for the first 10 students that joined, you get a free one. So that is Nyla, that's Leah, that's Emma, that's little Jamie, that's Emma's little brother, is Jamie. That's Kate. Hey, Kate. Kate is a senior in high school. This is perfect. And that is, hold on, let me look through. Jenna does our programming. Jenna is grown, but Jenna does all of our programming. Hey, Jenna. Hey, girl. She's a wonderful tap dancer. So I have the people on here. And David Johns. Hey, David Johns.
Oh.
David Johns. He said it's the glow for me. You know, David Johns is always just an advocate for everybody in every facet of everything. Did you see they're saying thank you, Hannah?
Oh, you are so welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Excited to see what you all think of it. Definitely share your thoughts once you get it and use it, because the whole point is it's a guided journal. All is going to be what you get out of it.
Which I love.
So, like, back to your shirt, Miss Mom.
Oh, no. Let's go back to our origin stories.
Yes.
So, when I met you, Hannah, where were we?
So, we were in St. Martin. I was on vacation with our mutual friend, Amber, and you spreading joy around the world because you were teaching at an arts camp for children in St. Martin. And we were at an all-inclusive resort, and the food was not good where you were. And so, we were like, come on over here. And then Amber left, and you and I were just joined at the hip ever since for the last 5 years.
I mean, friends, it's insane. Like how we met in St. Martin. So Hannah was on vacation with our friend. And when our friend left, she slipped off her all-inclusive band and slipped it on my wrist. And then literally Hannah and I have been inseparable since. Hannah lives in the Bay Area. And like I said earlier, if you're just joining, she works for the 49ers, but she is also an author. Hello. And what's amazing, I also think about when we met is that you were on surely a much needed vacation because your job, it's a big job. You have a lot of responsibility. And so can you tell us about how do you know it's time for me to vacation, it's time for me to relax? And then how do you go about making that happen for yourself?
Sure. So I think the best way to do it, though some of us don't always do it, is you got to plan it before you feel that need. Because by the time you need to go, we can't all be like on a dime, fly all over the world. So you need to plan for that joyful time in your life. I'm big on the power of your calendar and the power of scheduling. And so everything that I do, even if it's fun stuff, is on the calendar. Like there is time blocked out for time for friends. There's time like for a concert. Like all that stuff needs to be planned. Otherwise, if you're a very busy person, it's not going to happen. It's going to fall by the wayside. So that's why having a calendar is much more powerful than a to-do list. Because a to-do list, you might just keep pushing it off. But if you have blocked that time for yourself, then you're actually going to.
That's great advice. Thank you, Hannah, because I have the ever ongoing to-do list that has now spanned a few months. And I think that is a great idea. Hey, Nyla's mom, one of our moms is in here. Hey. I think that's a great idea. So ladies and gentlemen watching, calendar, because then you make sure that you make that time. And also, friends, Hannah and I have like one of the most joyful friendships because we have traveled together, which is such a privilege and a blessing to be able to have the time and the resources to be able to move in certain ways that we've moved. Because so Miss Hannah and I went to Paris.
We did. We were so wild. We used to tell people, I'm going to Paris to go to a J. Cole concert. They would be like, what?
Exactly. Ooh, I love that.
Of my life.
So how did that even come into fruition? I'm trying to remember
because our first friend date, when we first met, we were inseparable in St. Martin. I came to her arts camp the next day. We hung out by the pool. And then when we left, I had actually already planned a personal joy trip to Staples Center to see J. Cole because I love J. Cole. I rented a hotel room. I took myself basically on a little like date night vacay.
Hello.
But I bought 2 tickets and I was like, Ma, do you want to come to this concert? And so we went. It was both of our first J. Cole concerts. It was amazing. We had the best time. And then Felton hooked us up with the shirts, which we greatly appreciated.
Love you, Felton.
Felton. And then from that, we were like, okay, well, obviously we need to do this again. But also, we're such divas. We're like, but I don't want to see him in a 14,000 person or 20,000 person. Wouldn't it be fun if we went somewhere else in the world where he might be doing a small show? And at that point, Felton then was also going to Paris. So I can't remember go to Paris. He's going to do a show there. It'll be small. And, you know, it's never the wrong. So we went and we had a beautiful time. The show was amazing. Paris was amazing. I was so blessed because you speak French fluently. So I was really just like tagging along with you every day. The language. We ate so many croissants, so many crepes. The breakfast at that hotel was amazing.
Amazing.
And really that, I mean, I will say you are one of the most joyful people that I know. And so I think one of the things that drew me to you and that draws so many people to you is that you just exude happiness and life force. Because it's not just about being happy, right? Like, it's also that you are like living your full self every minute of every day. And that's really powerful, and that empowers others and frees others to be happy and joyful. Because I'll be honest, like my 20s, I spent grinding so hard, just trying to like get to where I wanted to get to. I never took vacations. Like I love music, so I try to go to concerts and things. But I always had a concept of money that, you know, I was very focused on saving, which is good. But I didn't allow myself that space. Just like, you know, your time shows your priorities, so does money. And I needed to leave a little more space for doing those really fun, joyful things, because it's very important to be responsible with money. It's also important to figure out what is it that makes you really happy. And for some people, it may be a material thing, but for a lot of people, it's experiences. And I also think, you know, the pandemic has made us even more cognizant of the value of those experiences now that they're gone.
It's so true. Like I was thinking yesterday, I was having such like a spoiled moment because the reality is most people don't get to fly anywhere. And I was like, I miss Brazil. I see some of my Brazilian family. Shout out to Flavia. She actually is the teacher of our after school program in Brazil that just started back up last week. Mm-hmm. She's bravely teaching the children because the kids were begging to come back to the studio. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I need to go to Brazil. I mean, most, you know, but I haven't been, you know, grounded in so long.
That's your spirit home.
It is. I'm like, I need to go back. I was telling Giselle today, I was like, I am going back in January because I was like, I have to go see my children. Like, I must see my children and my Brazilian family because usually I'm there twice a year. So I'm like, and I know that Brazil like re-energizes and reinvigorates me and definitely is like my joy recalibrator. Like it gives me so much. So I'm like, I have to go back, which is why when people say like, oh, you give a lot to Brazil, I'm like, Brazil gives me so much. So it's only right that I reciprocate that giving. But no, it's interesting because you said you were just grinding in your 20s. How did you know, at what point did you say to yourself, like, I need to find the joy? Like, was it something that hit you all at once, or was it gradual and you were like, this isn't enjoyable anymore, or what happened?
Yeah, I think for me it was gradual. And I know somebody asked in the comments, like, how did you de-stress if you weren't taking vacations in your 20s? Well, for one thing, I think I was stressed out in my 20s. Like, I was not de-stressed enough. And then secondly, I did do things like yoga and exercise, which I think are really important for your de-stressing, as well as journaling, which are also important to de-stress. But yes, but I say that it wasn't sudden where I was like, this is it. One of the things though that did push me is when I lived in New York and worked there, one of my goals when I got in there was to travel to Europe and the Caribbean, because I would be so much closer having come from the West Coast. And while I was there, we were negotiating the collective bargaining agreement for the entire 2 years that I was there. And so there was this pressure of like, at any moment, you might be needed back in the office, and allowed that to be like a fear or an excuse not to travel. And so I never went to Europe or to the Caribbean while I was there. And I was really sad when I left and came back to the West Coast. I was like, wow, I really wasted an opportunity. So I think part of that really motivated me, like, okay, now that I'm back, I need to do this. And also I'll say there was one person who called me out for it. My first year or so, 49ers, I was like, I can't take a vacation, you know, I'm always on call. And our EVP of operations, he was like, You think the 49ers won't be the 49ers if you take a vacation? Like, get off the couch. Like, you need to just do it. Like, the world is not going to end if you take a little time off. And I think now we're in such an over-connected world where we constantly feel like we have to be there, we have to do this, we have to do that, that we don't realize, like, guess what? It's actually not that important. It's all going to be okay. And I actually think, again, this pandemic has taught us so many things. And one of them is you don't have to be there. Like, I always thought, like, I could not be.
Facts. You're like, I could have been doing this from Paris.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And there have been times during the last 6 months where I'm like, should I be going somewhere? But obviously in a pandemic, not so much. But it has still taught us, like, that things are so much more flexible. Like, we as humans are so much more adaptable than we think. We always think the rules are so rigid. And the reality is, if life forces us a different direction, like, we will adapt.
It's so true. I just want to shout out Steve Payman is here. Hi, Steve.
I know worked at the league office at the same time. Hello.
I love that. It's amazing how worlds collide.
It is.
And, you know, I have to say, like, I respect so much, Hannah, what you do, because it's really hard to get where you are in terms of, like, the level. Like, I'm very proud when I Google your name and it's like on the website, you're like number 3 down. And I'm like, that's my friend. And she's a woman. And so I was thinking about really influential women in history who have entered male-dominated fields. And so I thought of Shirley Chisholm. And she says, which is a famous quote, particularly these days, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. So my question to you is, how do you balance not becoming angry and letting that anger affect your life? Because as a woman, particularly in a male-dominated field, I'm sure that you have to constantly, like, over-assert yourself or reassert yourself, repeat things. You know, you might say something and then some man says the same thing and they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And you're like, hello, I said this already. How do you not let that steal your joy? Because that's a lot of pressure.
That is a great question. And there are a couple of ways. And a lot of this actually is in the journal, because I do think that not allowing those challenges to steal your joy is, like, one of the most important things to me to share with others, because I see so many young people who they lose hope and they lose their joy because the struggle is real. So I'm like, I am not here to tell you that the struggle is not real. I am here to tell you that you can get through it. And you can get through it with your joy. The way that you do that is a couple things. One, you have a really strong support system. So girlfriends like you, right? Like, if I need to blow off steam or vent about something, there are safe, trusted people who I can do that with, people who I can be my whole self with, come home, relax, etc. That's one of the ways. Second, you really have to decide, who is my anger source? Like, how is it getting me to the next step? And that doesn't mean that you're trying to push your anger away, because you do have to feel it first. Like, if you're repressing the feeling, that's not going to serve you either, because then it's like bubbling under, come out, and sometimes and trust me, I've made that mistake before. You know, I've definitely done that. So you need to feel it, but then you have to decide, okay, what am I going to do with it? A phrase that I really love in a great book, The Artist's Way, with Julia Cameron.
I love that book.
Yeah. And I think anytime you feel anger or jealousy, they're both really great tools that is showing you something. So you also have to ask, like, what am I learning? What boundary has someone violated that is making me angry? And again, this is not about that the other person is right to do what you've done, but it allows me to, okay, it made me angry that he said that, because that was violating my boundary that I need to be spoken to in a calm voice in a professional way. And that's a totally reasonable boundary for me to have. Once I'm aware, then I'm also able to see that's the other person's failure or problem. I can think rationally about what I want to do next. But certainly in a job like mine, where you're negotiating constantly, you learn quickly that in negotiations, the person who always loses. You will lose every negotiation in which you become emotional. Negotiation is not about emotion. So for me, like, so much of what I have learned over the course of my career is, like, if I want something, I'm not going to throw it. Like, I need to figure out, like, the world is not fair. And so I need to figure out what's my strategy to get where I'm trying to go, because I'm a very determined person, as you know. And so, like, I'm going to find a way to get there, but I'm not going to waste emotional energy that is serving no purpose other than keeping off the path to the strategy.
I love that. What I love so much too is how you're like, in negotiating, there can be no emotion. And you know, men are so quick to say like, women are so emotional, women are so emotional. And it's so funny because as I've gotten older, I find that men are actually more emotional, you know, and I don't think that it's, perhaps maybe they're not more emotional, but they are not as in control or are able to articulate their emotions as well as women. And so it's easy because if I'm saying like, I feel blah, 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 it's like, you're being emotional, whereas dude's gonna be like, man, forget this. I'm like, that's an emotion. You're angry, sir. You're feeling some type of way. And so I think it's so incredible for a woman. And also, like, I also think about you because everybody, Hannah is very tall. She's beautiful, long legs, tall. What are you, 5'10"?
5'10", yeah.
But you're still around like 450 pounds, 6'5", like, they're these like huge men.
450 pounds.
You know, oh, guys, by the way, I know nothing about football.
Which is one of the things I love about you.
Hannah took me to my first NFL game ever. It was amazing. But you're around these like massive men. And what's incredible is I got to go to Hannah's office 2 times, is that the respect that she naturally commands by way of how she handles her business and herself every day is amazing. Because, you know, I think that sometimes people think if they're bigger than you, they can just like chump you, basically, like punk you. And none of that is happening there. It's amazing. And Hannah walks around in fierce high heels. We bought a pair of shoes together while we were in Paris. Fierce high heels. And I'm like, wow, this is, I remember when I came to the NFL game and I was like, whoa, this is even cooler. Because, you know, I've been to backstage at shows and musical and dance and arts things, but never sports. So, and it's a whole nother arena. Oh, actually, somebody wants to know, are you ever intimidated by the men that you have to work with?
No.
I didn't think so. I love it. So here's my question. So what advice would you give to a woman or maybe a man who's in a space where they're not necessarily welcomed and they're the minority? And if they're feeling a little intimidated, how do you overcome that fear?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is to prepare yourself for whatever the situation is. And sometimes it's going to be an everyday situation. Like every day when I go into the office, I feel like I am the only XYZ or I feel intimidated by the person. But you can still prepare yourself, right? Like maybe you're going to a meeting and you're going to be like, I'm going to take a deep breath. I know I sometimes still get intimidated in public speaking. And so I have to focus on my breathing before I do it, because otherwise I will talk like that. And so things like breathing, things like thinking before you enter the room, right? Like, all right, I know that I'm intimidated by so-and-so and so-and-so. So my plan today is maybe I just want to accomplish this one thing in this meeting. Or maybe I also need to figure out if somebody really is intimidating to me. Usually that means I don't know that well. Familiarity can really diminish that type of feeling. And so maybe it's somebody that you need to build a relationship with. And again, like, I'm not saying that any of this is easy. We all encounter expressions and other types of things that can wear on us. And that's where we come back to the hard, right? And so that's our support network. We'll keep you outside of work to really have recovery. So again, we talked about this in like week 7 of the book, but in sports, there's been such a focus, especially in the last, I would say 10 to 20 years, as sports science has evolved on recovery, and that being just as important. The practicing and all these other things. And so that really applies to all of us, right? Like I go to the office and it's a toxic or emotional, exhausting environment, whoever you are, where you're being intimidated or you just feel different. You need to know, like, all right, my recovery plan this week is I am going to work out on Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to take a long hot shower. I'm going to hang out with my friend Maud. I'm going to journal about this, so I'm getting these feelings out. Like, whatever it is, you need to figure out, how do I, as you said, what Brazil does for you, how do I recalibrate to my joy so that I don't feel like my soul is sucked out of my body.
I mean, I think that that's so real. I love, oh, hi, Annalise. Oh, Annalise is going to get a note. Annalise, you get an amazing guided journal from Miss Hannah. Annalise actually lives quite close to you. She's the daughter of one of my closest friends from elementary school. Yes. So, Hannah, you have this incredible career. You're killing the game. Yes, she bought it. She's a homeowner, beautiful house. Cheers to that, because so many people aren't able to do that. And I think being a homeowner is so powerful, because what an incredible feeling to have a space that you are secure in. And so everything is fabulous. And then you decided, I'm going to be even more exceptional and write a guided journal to help the next generation of people. So I have to say, it's funny because it's like one of the first lines, but one of my favorite things is, hold on, I'm finding it, is film, don't lie. Yeah. Right here, y'all. Film, don't lie. So, Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to write Season of Change, what motivated you? And then I want to get into Film, Don't Lie, because...
Sure. Yes. So what motivated me was really the desire to help other people. So many people that I got to talk to, whether it was, the girls at your camp or others, would ask, like, oh, well, how did you get there? What do I do to get to this level in my career? Or how do I navigate? Just what you're asking before. I feel different at work. How do I navigate this? And what I realized was I was always, especially in keynote talks, giving people exercises. Because people rather than talk at them. And then I realized I had too many exercises to finish. And also I wanted them to, like, actually implement in their lives. So often when we go to a talk or we listen to a TED talk on YouTube, we go, that was great. I hope that changed my life. And then we don't do anything.
Nothing.
And what we need to do is have something that would allow us to practice at that skill for a sustained period of time so that it becomes a habit. And so that's really what the journal is. The journal is the opportunity for you to practice 5 minutes a day for 8 weeks. So that I
love that it's 8 weeks, because I feel like it gives you like a game time, beginning and end. Because I also think when things are open-ended, you can just, it's like the to-do list is no longer on a timeline. I love that it's 8 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. And then Film, Don't Lie is the first chapter. Where we have to start is really with ourselves and examining ourselves, not critically in the sense of being hard on ourselves, but on, and in football, as in any sport, and really I think in dance, and a lot of us learn to do this without film and live with our eyes all the time. You need to be able to look very clearly at yourself, whether that's dance, whether that's watching film. So of course we would watch film, right, to see what happened in that game, to break down what went right, what went wrong, learn from it. And so film study is what it is. And the phrase "film don't lie" is something that I think all the time. It basically means, like, if you look, like, you could say, oh, that guy looks like he'd be an amazing receiver. He's 6'5", he's 230 pounds, he runs a 4.40, like, blah, blah. But if you watch that dude's film for his last 8 games, like, the film will not, don't lie. Like, you will see who the person really is. And what it basically means to the rest of us is our actions demonstrate who we actually are. Like, it's not like, oh, I can say, oh, I'm a joyful person. But like, if you look at the film of my life, that will tell you I'm actually a joyful person.
Hello. I love that, because I feel like it forces us, the reader / activator, it activates us to also take a look in the mirror and hold ourselves accountable. Because like you said, it is easy to be like, I am joyful, or I am, living my best life. It's like how people say Instagram is like a highlight reel. But what's happening in between all the glam and all of that stuff? And I think that that's what's really great, because I think that it's humbling, but I also think that it's necessary to actually grow, to really self-evaluate and be like, where am I at right now?
Right.
And for anybody who's like coming in a little late, because people are coming and going, and also because this is on my IGTV, and what's really cool, Hannah, is that my IGTV MAUDCasts always get like between 2,000 and 3,000 views, which is exciting. Yeah, because people rewatch them. I get messages all the time. Sharona wrote me today, and she's like, I can't wait to watch you and Hannah's, but she's working right now, so she's gonna watch it later.
Love you, Sharona.
I love Sharona. So if you're just coming in, Hannah recently just published and put out a guided journal called Season of Change, the Competitor's Playbook for Joy on the Path to Victory. And you wonder why we're friends. And you can get this on Amazon. And what's been really, really cool too is that, Hannah gave away 10 of the guided journals to 10 Chloe and Maud Foundation students. So that's amazing, because it's so important for us to fortify our students' minds as well as their dancing skills. But I also saw that you've been giving it away. I saw it somewhere, you gave a bunch away to a group.
Yeah, so every Tuesday I've been doing a Giving Tuesday. So I've been giving away copies of the book, or like proceeds from book sales. So the first one was for Brown, which is Carrie Champion's foundation to mentor young people of color, primarily in sports. And then also to Sanaz Stars, which is a nonprofit for our defensive coordinators, who've been sexually abused.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you guys, I think, we're the third.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Hannah. And shout out to Carrie Champion. We love Carrie.
Yes, we do.
She's amazing. I mean, it's so, when I think about the incredible women in my life, I have incredible men. Shout out to the guys, but it ain't about y'all right now. When I think about the incredible women in my life, it's so inspiring. But again, the thing that's most inspiring is that you all do this with joy. Like, when you talk to Carrie, she's enjoying it, even though it's hard work.
Yes.
Like, you have to do really hard work. And how would you say, like, okay, as a woman, as a boss, so most of the people that work for us on a more consistent basis are all women. I hire men, like, for like one-off classes or workshops and stuff like that. And how do you feel like you have to be a different boss to women and to men, or is it person to person, or what do you find good techniques person to person?
I think every human being is different. Everybody wants to be coached in a different way. Everybody needs to be coached in a different way, based on their personality, their communication style. So I do think it's person to person, for sure.
And how important do you think, as a boss, it is for your employees to feel joy at work?
Oh, I think it's really important. And I think it's been especially hard for the last 7 months, because a lot of people take joy if you're an extrovert. So I think this has been a really interesting time period for extroverts versus introverts. Because if you're an extrovert like me, like you gain energy from being around people. And so work, for many of us, is a big way that we gain energy. But for introverts, a lot of people I know who are introverts really enjoyed this last 7 months. They're like, I like to be at my home. I gain energy from myself, right? Self-charging battery. And so for them, it really works. So I think to your, point about, do you manage people differently, or male or female? When I say it's person to person, it's because we all have so many different dimensions, right? Or just a male or female, right? We're white, we're black, we're gay, we're straight, we're introvert, we're extrovert. We are, a direct communicator or an indirect Like there's so many different dimensions to every one of us. We're different religions, different political views, different ages, different geographies. And so I think you kind of have to like see and understand all those pieces. But yeah, I mean, I think trying to make work joyful for others is one of the hardest things about trying to lead people, because you want people to be happy, and that can be tough. Like, for real.
Because they also need to produce.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think most people, at least everyone I work with, are self-motivated people. So they're all hard workers and they enjoy the work. But that doesn't mean that there's not stress at work. It doesn't mean, you know, we live in the Bay Area. It's a terribly expensive place to live. So there's all kinds of pressures in our lives. So it's also understanding the whole person.
I mean, I think what's also interesting, like looking at it from a boss's perspective, is you're also handling and kind of balancing all of the stuff that's going on in their personal lives. Because here's what we know, is that as much as we're supposed to separate, it's very difficult. Like, if God forbid, if somebody has a death in the family, they're not going to come to work like, hey guys, how's it going? And how, as a boss, do you know how to find that balance between, like, I still need that report, but I need to make sure, like, give them that space.
Right. I think that's also all about like investing in people in the long term. You need to give people that space. If you are like, I see you as somebody who's going to be here for 5 years plus, then if I need to like give you space for a week or a month, whatever period of time it is, like that's essential to them being a happy, long-term productive worker. And I think this is really true not only like for parents, but you need to give people space to come and go as they please, so they can fulfill, so they can be at that soccer game, whatever they need to do. And I think again, we've like learned that, you know, if people want to work from home one day, right now we're gonna have to work from home every day of the week, like it's gonna be okay. Like you just need to be able to trust your people that they're gonna get their work done. And again, it depends obviously on the type of work you do. There's some people who are essential workers and they may work at a grocery store and can't do that from home. And I really appreciate that those people are doing jobs that are really hard, right? Like
it's really hard.
Align.
And they're thankless jobs, you know. I always try to make sure that when I go to the grocery store or wherever, I'm like, how are you doing? How's it going? You know, because it's not, they're not making millions of dollars a year. They're barely making minimum wage. It's dangerous. And I've seen so many people have attitudes at the grocery store, and I'm like, go home, order online. Like, you don't need this energy.
Definitely not.
They're already working hard enough. And so, no, I think it's just a really fascinating thing. Like, because I do think that also probably the reason your team is amazing and motivated is, one, good hires, but also two, because you're so amazing, they feel appreciated and you want to do good for people who are good to you.
I hope. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I hope. That's what I would think. After I came to the office and saw the vibes, that's how I felt. You know, I don't work there, but it was good energy. And I think that energy doesn't lie, because I think energy is powerful. So if it was like tension or like anger, I think I would feel that.
You of all people would pick up on it. You have good.
I'd be like, we have to leave here now. People here are that nice. Okay, on to some fun questions, Hannah. So once our quarantines are lifted, whenever that might be, where's the first place you want to go take a joy trip?
Well, it's going to be with you. And we may have to go back to Con. You know, it all depends on timing is, because we definitely need to go back to Con Line, because that was amazing.
Friends, we went to the south of France last year, and it was just magic on the Mediterranean. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, you know, when it's safe to be with people, like one of the things I missed, like I posted travel. And I got so sad looking at that, because I was like, I miss having the energy of 200 people all around you, 300 people who are just all like singing along to the same song, right? Like that's a beautiful energy. And so I think when this ends, like that's what I look forward to.
I can't wait, and I'm so curious as to like how, like what does our re-entry look like?
right
at these things. I mean, like, I understand the masks and everybody should wear their masks.
Yes.
But I'm just going to say this one thing. I was at the store the other day and I was mask on. I saw this dude and I was like, oh, is he fine? I couldn't talk to his mask. So when we have
well, maybe you should have gotten to know him and eventually his mask would have come off and then you would have already appreciated if he was ugly on the inside or beautiful.
Here's the thing. I've made said mistake before, Miss Hannah, and I was like, and this sounds terrible.
You are so wrong right now.
I'm so wrong. But one of the most joyful things for me, guys, is appreciating, hi Carter, is appreciating the beauty around me, okay? Sometimes that beauty is in men. The masks prevent me from my eye candy, which brings me joy some days. Like somebody said that was me in the store. That's hilarious. No, but like, you know, for trap karaoke and stuff, I just wonder how venues and clubs are we gonna have to sign waivers?
Right.
Like, what is it? Because also I just feel like we have to stay safe because we don't want people getting sick and more deaths. And on the other hand, I know of so many people who are depressed. I've heard of so many suicides. I know of people who have committed suicide. And it's like, where is the balance and where is the mental health like recourse for this? Because we're so lucky we're friends. I saw you drove down from the Bay. But like some people don't have friends. Like it's really sad. I cried in the MAUDCAST 2 weeks ago because we were talking about kids who are abused at home with Gabrina, who's a pediatrician. And so I just, you know, I'm just so thankful. And I think that's why it's so important that you have something like your guided journal, because even if somebody's at home alone, this makes you feel like you have a friend.
Yeah.
That, you know, that you're doing something with somebody because you're very much alive in this guided journal, guys. Get your guided journal. It's very alive, so you don't feel alone.
Yes.
So I'm very curious and kind of a little anxious to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. This has been a mental health crisis for sure. And so definitely encourage anybody watching also reach out. If you feel that way, reach out to a friend, call the hotline at the American Federation for Suicide Prevention. You know, like, and also check up on your friends. Check up on people that you know. If you know people on the phone, call them, FaceTime them. And talk about it openly, right? Like, make it okay to talk about mental health. So I think those are all really important reminders, like, because this has been a tough time. And to the point about, you know, children who are essentially trapped in abusive situations right now, not being in school. There is a lot of work to do coming out of this.
I just feel like there's so much, but I think what Hannah makes a great point. Like Hannah and I have been to St. Martin, we've been to Cannes, we've been all over Paris, we've been all over the United States together, DC, New York, LA.
No, we've also been folding laundry, unrolling rugs, like
helping.
Like, we don't only do like glamorous.
Exactly.
We also, you know, love each other in the tough times.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like a week and a half ago or so, like I was not in a very joyful moment,
which is unusual for you.
So it's very unusual. I didn't understand those feelings. Like it was a very foreign feeling to me, guys. But I know that I can call somebody like Hannah, who is going to help me, like, say, take your time through it, but then also remember your life, remember and give perspective. Because if I had to go through that alone, maybe it could have prolonged for weeks or months or still been happening. And so that's why I think, like, you have to have the friendships that are joyful, but that are also solid. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, you know, what Oprah says, she says, if they can't ride on the bus with you, don't let them in the limo.
Amen.
Like, it's true. It's like, it's very easy to celebrate when everybody's chilling and happy and got money and doing
Yep.
fabulous things. But it's like, what about when things get a little tougher for one person or both or the other? What is that? And then it also makes the joy so much better because it's solid. And I think that that's what is most important to me now as I'm like getting older is just like solidness is not a word, but not solidarity. It's just knowing that there's no gray area.
Yeah. The integrity of those people.
Thank you. I'm like, what is that word, Hannah?
Yeah.
I'm enrolling in a Portuguese class. So my brain is literally, I was telling David Johns yesterday, I said, I feel like my English language has gone down the drain. I said, I feel like I just don't even sound intelligent anymore. And he was like, Mom, you speak like 5 languages, be quiet. And I was like, but I need to read more. Yes, exactly. Leah said, ride or die. Yes. And so for all of my Chloe and Maud Foundation students, and Jenna, because you're grown, who's getting Season of Change, when you get it, well, first of all, I need you to email me or DM me your address, and then I'll send it all to Hannah in one email. So just DM me your address. But I also want to see you posting on social about the journey and document the journey for yourself too. And the reason why I think that's important is because when I did the Artist's Way, like right out of college, I was maybe 25. I was really diligent about it. And I know that when I feel like I'm all over the place, I need something like the Season of Change to ground me, because I remember how that grounded me as a course, essentially, in self-discovery. So I know that that's something that I can tap back into when I'm feeling a certain type of way.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Maudie.
Carter said he needs his book signed.
Oh, you can get a book signed, Carter. We can arrange that.
Carter is also a joy.
Yes, Carter is a joy. That's actually what when you first emailed me, you need to meet Carter. You said he's like a bottle of joy. Or joy bottled or something like that.
That does sound like something, because it's true. There's some people who just like bring that good energy, and I was like, I know y'all are gonna get along. Y'all both like music. Y'all both good people, and one of my favorite things to do is connect people. So I was like, had to do it. No, but Hannah, for anybody who's looking for the book, where should they go? Amazon? What's the best way?
We'll both have it. So you can order it off of either one. You can get hardcover or paperback. And it's on pre-order still, so it comes out November 17th. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody for taking interest in it. As Maud said, like, I hope that it serves you, and so I hope you will post just so I can know, like, how is it working for you. And in a couple weeks, probably I'll put out for free just the group study guide, so that if you do it in a group, you have some guided questions for you all get together.
I love that. Leah said, can she get her signed too, please? She's one of our students.
Yes, you may.
You know what, though? I have to say, I'm very proud of my students, because we have taught them to ask for the things that they want or need as women, as young men, as young men of color, and they are learning and doing it, and it's the best. Rasheen is here.
I know.
Hello, Rasheen.
Rasheen. I'm going to tell one silly story about that, because, like, this has stayed with me my whole life. So I still have this little turquoise, like, fake satin jewelry roll from Cost Plus Market. It cost like $8 from when I was 8 years old, because I was always shy about asking for things. And I really wanted it, but I didn't want to ask my mom and get to, like, stop asking for things. But what is the harm in asking? And my cousin was very, like, assertive. She had no problem asking. And so I asked my mom, and she got it for me. And it was, like, literally life-changing. Like, it's an $8 jewelry roll, but I cut to my whole life to remind me, what is the harm in asking?
I love that, Hannah, because I always say, if you don't ask, you already have the no.
That's right.
So it's like, right. I might as well ask, because if you tell me no, I'm going to figure it out another way. And I also wanted to acknowledge acknowledge. So again, friends, if you're just joining, this is the 10th MAUDCAST. This is Hannah's 10th year working for the 49ers. So go play 10-10 in the lottery. But also, Hannah, so this is my 10th MAUDCAST, and you are my first white guest. And I say that, and I want to point this out because in the Black community, we don't celebrate or talk about joy enough. And you remind me in every good way of my mom, who most people know because they watch me, is white. And I just want to say I see and feel and know the way that you utilize your privilege and your intelligence and all of the things to constantly help uplift people of color, particularly Black people, to include them in spaces and to give them the equity that they deserve in work and in friendships and in life in general. And I wanted to acknowledge that, to particularly because we have a lot of young people watching, and we talk, a lot of the kids here at Chloe and Maud Foundation, we talk about Black Lives Matter and all those kinds of things. And I just want to acknowledge that Miss Hannah is one of my best friends. And when we talk about these things, I don't talk different to Hannah than I talk to Chloe. It's the same, and it's so important to have friends like that who maybe don't look like you, but who can fight for you in the ways that you are unable to fight for yourself. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, Hannah.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. And I think also for all the white people watching, it's so important that you have friends who don't look like you, who don't come from where you come from. I was very lucky to grow up in Oakland and have that opportunity from the early and have people in my life of all different communities. But I think that's one of the reasons that there's such a horrible lack of empathy in our country, is that we have designed a system that has segregated people based on neighborhood, school, and all of these things really effectively, so that people are not forming relationships, especially at early ages, and they're not understanding people. And like, if you don't have a true intimate relationship with people who are different from you, you develop a completely myopic way of thinking, and you don't understand where other people are coming from. You really, like, as much as people may have like woken up watching a video, that is not the same thing as being like, oh my gosh, that could be my brother or my cousin. And if you haven't integrated your life in that way, I just think that's one of the really horrible problems with our country. So.
No, I think so too, and I mean, you're from Oakland, I'm from DC, which are very
here. Okay. What
town
business here?
Hey,
town business. Yes.
I think that, and that's why I wanted to say that, especially for my kids watching. One of my, Nyla, who's getting a book, who just asked if you could sign it, has been telling us that she has actually been struggling with that with some of her friends who are white, who are like, Black Lives Matters crap, and she was in Texas, and just that feeling of isolation. And so I think that it's important that she sees that you can have, obviously, any type of friends, but those friends have to really be ride or die. So if I know for 1,000 million times over, if I'm not in the room and somebody says something racist or bad about me to Hannah, Hannah's going to shut it down. And she's going to shut it down in a big way. Like, if that person has a job, she's going to get them fired. Like, it's not even a question. And so I think, and she knows that I have her back in that way. And so I think that it's about having those unafraid, unapologetic relationships with people where it is really ride or die, because then you're not just like, oh, well, no, it's okay. No, it's not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah, Nyla said yes. Nyla's also 17, brilliant young woman. Brilliant. Very talented too. You've seen her videos, very talented. No, I'm just so proud of our students. So Hannah, before we get out of here, I have my fire questions. Pow, pow, pow. But first of all, thank you so much for being here. I know your time is extremely valuable. Everybody, don't forget to get Season of Change. It'll change your life. Also, it's for men and women, women and men, trans, cis, everybody. get it, because we all need guidance and mentorship and help in our lives. Make sure you all follow Miss Hannah on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. Okay, so Hannah, what is your favorite non-alcoholic beverage? Hannah doesn't drink alcohol either, guys. That's why we get along so well. Also, what is your favorite drink?
Water, actually.
That's so funny. That's what Karina said. What city in the United States brings you the most joy?
Oakland.
Hey, hometown. What country in the world brings you the most joy?
Oh, that's so hard. I'm not as well traveled as you. I'm gonna go with France because we have such a person.
France was amazing. What J. Cole song brings you the most joy?
Oh, that is so hard. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can choose one. I'm gonna flip the question back on you. Which one brings you the most joy?
I think Love Yours.
That's a good one.
I'd have to say Love Yours.
That's like a touching one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't choose. They're all so different.
I mean, if we're just turning out, probably Nobody's Perfect.
That's a great classic romantic. Although also like seeing him do Lights Please live is one of my favorite things in the world.
That was amazing.
Amazing.
Oh, Hannah, before I go to the next question, Heather said thank you, and she looks up to you tremendously.
Aww,
and you're an incredible role model. Yes, you are. Thank you, Hannah. I mean, Heather. Sorry. I was like, okay, LOL. What pair of shoes in your closet brings you the most joy?
I think the sparkly Louboutins that look like umbrella slippers.
I was like, I knew it was going to be something fierce. Everybody, Hannah is not only genius, also fashionista, and has a closet of heaven. I'm like, wow, Hannah's clothes. And also, Hannah definitely helped me map out my apartment. Came down, helped me fix all of the furniture and organize my drawers, and also told me I have more t-shirts than.
Oh my god. You have so many t-shirts, Maud.
I have so many everything. I think I'm a hoarder. I think I have a problem. Hold on, it froze. What'd you say? It froze for a second.
Oh, sorry. It was telling me my battery was running low. I don't know how you got all those clothes in there.
It was a miracle, but you helped to make that said miracle happen. But I have been giving away a lot of clothes during the pandemic.
That's good.
And to my best friend's little cousin, because she's in Zoom school and she's going to high school, and she wanted to look cute on Zoom.
That makes sense. We all want to look cute on Zoom.
We do, and so I was like, we're the same size. Let me cleanse, and I have too much stuff anyways. And then, okay, my last question, Hannah, before we go out of here, is what advice would you give someone if they were not feeling joy to find joy in that moment or that day?
I'm actually going to take this one from Bill Bellamy. I'm going to say take a nap. Sometimes you just need to be pause, I need to just have a moment. And if you can't take a nap, I would say take 10 deep breaths. And maybe, depending where you are, grab a piece of paper and a pen and just start writing. Because chances are, before you can get back to joy, you may need to clean something out. The other thing I do is put on music that makes me happy. And that can switch my mood so fast. And then I start dancing around the house to it.
That was perfect. Perfect way to end. Everybody, this has been Hannah Gordon, author, lawyer, advocate for change, runner of everything in the Bay that is important. And most importantly, my dear, dear, dear sister friend, the amazing Hannah Gordon. Thank you so much, Hannah. I love you.
Thank you.
And your boss bookshelf is amazing. It looks like Obama's.
Thank you. He's right there.
I love it. Love you, Hannah.
Bye.
Bye. Everybody have a joyful week. Don't forget to modify your day.